Welcome, everybody. I think we're live now. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're coming in from anywhere around the world. Welcome to today's show, brought to you by TTI, True Temperance International, the Family Health Show. Welcome to our YouTube viewers. I think we're on YouTube here now too. So welcome to our YouTube viewers. Good to be back. Good to be back today again. So TTR show that's passionate about health, about sharing the faculties about how to live with vitality, and also share the good news about the soon return of our Lord Jesus Christ. And today I'm coming to you from sunny South Africa, here in the Eastern Cape. And I'm joined by Mogapi, aka Q, from Johannesburg. How are you, Q?
I'm great, Brent. Thank you very much for that welcome. Hi, everyone. It's beautiful weather out in South Africa, all over. Brent is out in Port Elizabeth, and I'm here in Johannesburg, and it's warm and sunny out here. I hope it's pleasant weather wherever you are. We know True Temperance is really an international ministry. We have members from all over the globe. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Yes. And today we have a very exciting show that's going to be value packed, and it's been brought to us by Louisa, and she's all the way from Pretoria. Is that right, AQ?
Yes, that's it, Pretoria.
Yes, and just tell us a bit about, because Louisa used to be down in the lifestyle center up in KwaZulu-Natal, and she's now in.
Oh yes, Dr. Louisa is quite an accomplished medical doctor. She's worked with Guamtaman Institute of Wellness, and she has a wellness center out here in Pretoria. She's also a celebrated author and a speaker as well. And I think at some point was or is a Nelson Mandela Fellow. But I won't then say too much. Allow her to have something maybe to say for herself. But she's quite the accomplished health worker, and she's here with us. It's going to be an exciting show, because with Dr. Louisa, it's always going to be something exciting.
Definitely. And today, the title of the show is Living a Restorative Lifestyle Holistically. So we're all looking forward to that, I'm sure. I see we have a question here from John, who's raised his hand. John, would you like to say something, or is that an error? Okay, I think that's an error. So we're just gonna move on then. So again, whoever's just dialed in, welcome to the Family Health Show, fearfully and wonderfully made. Know your body. So the show is all about health and about how to look after the temple and your body. So we just like to go through our promos while we're busy and while we're waiting for the doctor to tune in. So just to move along then, let me just get. There we go. So as mentioned, Dr. Louisa is bringing us living a restorative lifestyle holistically, and we don't really know much about this show, so we're all in suspense here today. So really looking forward to that. And moving along, then Q, can you go over the disclaimer for us, please, just to get that out the way?
Certainly. Now, this is a quick disclaimer from True Temperance International. Only a physician can diagnose, treat, and prescribe for illness and disease. Any information that is disclosed or discussed at the TTI Zoom talk show is for educational and informational purposes only. Please continue to seek professional medical advice from your general practitioner regarding any illness or disease you may be suffering from.
Great, perfect. Thank you, Q. So we've still got our Telegram groups where we have our spiritual group, where we cover devotions, where we offer words of encouragement, and also offer prayer to those that are needing. So there are the links for the spiritual group. And so, guys, please, if you aren't on those groups, then please go on and register. So there are the links for you. We'll bring them up at the end again. Then we've also got our men's and women's wellness groups. This is where we'll share the challenges that we have every week. So we're going to cover last week's challenge in a bit. And then at the end of the show, we're going to offer a challenge to our viewers for next week that they can go through. And this is where we'll be sharing the challenges and so on, and keeping you up to speed with everything. Then we can also share links from our recipes, from our cooking shows on these groups, and then also just general health discussions and health related questions pertaining to health and what we do here at TTR. Okay, so then moving along. We've got Janine Higgins from Plant Easy, who has a plant-based cookery school and program. And the visual cooking sessions will be via Zoom. The cost is £25 per session, or you can look at £60 for all 3 sessions. They run between 1 and 3 p.m. UK time. And the first session covers breakfasts on Sunday, the 13th of February. So this coming Sunday, there's quick lunches that she puts together and on the 20th of February. And then she covers dinner recipes on the 27th of February. Now, Janine's got quite a special program here where she actually deals with anxiety, depression by actually the diet that you're looking at. So, anyone that's possibly suffering from this or would like to share this with others, she's very knowledgeable and offers a real informative and valuable session that she's going to be doing. She's doing 3 of them. So please log on. Janine's very knowledgeable. There's her details. So take that down if you don't communicate directly with Janine to book in with those. And I know she's running this this coming Sunday. I'm not mistaken. We need to just clarify if she's still taking bookings for Sunday before we finish the show. Then next we've got Mercy's Door Health Ministry, where we can contact Dr. Louisa on that number. This is a 12-day cleanse through using raw juices and nutritional herbs, where we will be looking at cleansing the colon, the gallbladder, and liver flush. Now, these are key organs that we need to look at detoxing. The gallbladder is a trap for parasites. It's just there as a trap, as a filter, but that needs to be flushed. So I can personally vouch for doing this gallbladder type of flush and the liver and cleanse and what have you. So I could highly recommend this. But it's not only Dr. Louisa. We're looking at Sonia Barnes, who's a nutritionist, who's also joining us on this. Louise Reed, who's a health evangelist with Mercy Door Health Ministry. And then Joan Cornwell, who's a herbalist and medical missionary. And there's only 50 places left, guys, at £130 each per person. So, and then also early birds, well, that's obviously passed now. So it's £130 per person. So starting on the 20th of Feb, guys. So please jump on that as soon as possible. And you can see what it includes over there: WhatsApp support, a Zoom presentation, and then a herbal pack per person. So that sounds very, very exciting. Then last but not least, liberty of conscience and health. So please join Dr. and Pastor Conrad Vaughn. He's the president of Adventist Frontier Missions, and then also Dr. and Pastor Sam Davis. He's a patron of the Association of Health Reformers. So they'll be on Zoom. There's the information for you to take down. and take a screenshot if you must. And they'll be covering prayer and praise reports, liberty of conscience, our great responsibility, and then updates and legal responses. So I'm sure we can all stay abreast of this. And this is brought to you by Association of Health Reformers. So they're quite well versed guys, both doctors. They hold formal and prestigious roles within the organizations that they actually head up. So they obviously know what they're talking about. So that'll be very, very informative. Okay, and then we also got Manor House, where Lucille will be running a program, a 10-day residential program at Manor House. And for those that have not been, Manor House is a wonderful health retreat in the Midlands. I think it's more West Midlands. And that's going from the 6th to the 16th. So book now for reservations. And in the evening and the morning, Andre Crawford will be running the devotions for that program as well. So Andre is quite well versed there. So he's going to be offering a lot of value on the spiritual side. So that looks like a really nice program as well. So please book now and contact the numbers over there for that. It's wonderful. Wonderful work they're doing, Manor House. It's amazing. Okay, then we still got, I know on last program we had 5 bottles left, so I'm sure they're running out now. We need to obviously order again, but the olive oil from Center Farm in Spain. So just contact us directly for that, guys. And if you want to get your olive oil directly, then we can inform you on the cost and so on. But please contact us for that. And then, guys, your support. Thank you for your support so far. Obviously, we're a non-profit organization. We rely on support, donations. So there's our banking details, but also prayer is needed for us to continue this work. So please keep us in your prayers. And if you'd like to support our ministry, then there are our details. And we value your support from any donations that you'd like to donate towards the ministry. Okay, so there's our promos out the way. Okay, let me just stop sharing here. There we go. So Q, I see you got white on today. You didn't plan that, did you?
No, I didn't. I promise I don't have a secret camera in your house, Brent. I just dressed like you.
Okay.
The weather here calls for white. The sun gets really harsh out here in Africa.
What is it like there today? It must be scorching. It's 28, 29 today.
Yeah, it's late 20s here as well. And, it's kind of dryish out here in Johannesburg. So you really want to be dressed as lightly as possible. Super short sleeves. Look at that.
Hey, you beat me, man. Look, I need to get. Yeah. No, good. So we had a challenge last week, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We did. So last week we had Manor House on, and Lucille gave us a challenge, and we'd like to open the floor for that. So if support could please open the mics for everybody. And just to go over the challenge, Lucille gave a challenge for us to measure 4 things, three main things, and then a bonus topic to look at. So the first one was to measure our body mass index. Okay, so that was a challenge to see what that came to. Then also the waist to hip ratio. Okay, that was another challenge. Then the third challenge was body fat index, which is where you can go to the gym and you can put your arm into that unit. It then measures your body fat, the ratio index to your actual body, what your percentage is of your body fat. And then an interesting one, the fourth bonus challenge was the visceral fat on your body. And apparently that's the fat around your organs and what the level of that is. So we're going to, before we hand over to our presenter today, we're going to open the floor now for anyone to give us feedback to the challenge from last week. So the floor is open to our viewers today. Anyone want to come forward and give us testimonial.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon to you all.
Hi, Sharon.
Now, last week, hi Q, hi Brent, and everyone else listening. Now, last week, when this challenge was set, and because I have to be a woman of my word, I had to do it. Okay, now the challenge was actually just to do one of the above, but if you're brave, you could do more. So I did the BMI, the body mass index, thinking, yeah, I'll be fine. This will be fine. This will be cool.
For the viewers, tell us how you went about that, Sharon.
I just went online.
Tell us how you went about that.
Yeah, I went online on the I work for the National Health Service, so I went on the NHS calculator. I just put in BMI calculator and an NHS version came up. Okay. And it asks a few questions like your height, your weight, your gender, your age, and your lifestyle, whether you're sedentary or moderately active or very active. And then it worked out my body mass index. And well, I'm overweight. Okay. I'm overweight, and it was quite badly overweight, actually. I was quite surprised. So I think I need counseling, because
it's overweight. How does it measure?
Through calculating your height and your it also asked about your nationality as well, because certain nationalities have a different distribution of the weight, so the BMI can be different for your nationality, I guess. And so no, I couldn't face doing the hip to waist ratio. I couldn't face it. That was enough. But I do know what I need to work on. It wasn't so much the shock of doing it, it's more getting the calculations, but it's knowing what you have to do now. Once you've worked out what your figures are, then act on it. Not just to get shocked and ask for a prayer meeting, but to actually act on it. So yeah, and for my own benefit, and as a someone who works with the TTI and part of the TTI team, I really do need to work on this. And doing the 8 laws of health is going to help me. So that's my little testimony. I don't know if anybody else has got anything to say, if anybody took on the challenge, but thank you, Lucille. If you're listening, even if you're not listening live, you'll get the feedback when you watch the playback. So
less carbs, like Sharon, less carbs.
I just need to exercise more. You think I exercise enough, but no, I need to do more. But yeah, probably less carbs as well. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Anyone else that possibly ventured and had their cells checked out? Body mass index, waist hip to ratio, or body fat percentage.
Hello, my name is Barbara. I'm ringing from, I'm actually based in Paris, and I did, yes, I did, and my body mass index came to 24.1, so it's the upper part of the normal. So it came normal, but it's the upper part, so I have to be careful. And so I'm within the limit. And about the ratio between hip and waist, it's really not much. So I mean, the waist is, I am talking in centimeters, 97, sorry, 93, and the hip is 97. So definitely I lose more around the waist, and the other I didn't do because I didn't have a possibility to do the, so those 2 things. But I was glad to see that I'm within the limit. I must say that I have lost a lot of weight since July last year, over 20 kilograms. And this is, I used young barley juice and chlorella for cleansing, and barley juice for nourishing. And this really helped me because I was over 80, and this was very, so
Good. Very good.
Thank you.
That's well done. Glad you got that resolved. That's well. So you got some work to do then, I suppose.
Exactly, yes, yes.
We all
Exercises
have.
and improving the practice of health reform.
Okay, good. 8 health laws. Yes.
Yes.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? We'll give it a couple of more moments.
Can I
No.
ask
Okay.
Brent or Q, have either of you two done your, I'm not necessarily for this week, but have you ever tried to do your BMI or your hip to waist
Yes.
ratio or any of those things? How did you find?
Yeah, I've done my.
You don't have to share if you
body.
don't want to.
Yeah, I've done that before at the gym. You know, I've done the body fat, and that gives a percentage of what your body fat is. And I was on it was quite a while ago, but it was around about 15%, which I was told was quite good. My housemate, who's a runner at the time, but he runs every day. Every day, comes sun will shine, snowing, he goes out every day, and his body fat was 8%, if I can remember.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like
8% is quite intense. Sorry, I'm logged in now through Linda's phone. For some reason, my phone won't log back in. I kind of got kicked out. I've also done the BMI and I've done the percentage fit. You know, Virgin Active gyms do that thing. You place your arm and then it measures and tells you that percentage. I don't remember the percentage, but I do remember the BMI was overweight also and closing in on obese. So I have quite a lot of work to do, Sharon. You're not alone. We need group therapy.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. And for those of you who are wondering, if you didn't actually catch it last week, it was The Fat Controller was the title. So you can always go back on YouTube and watch it back. I don't know if you want to say something about YouTube before we break off.
Well, certainly we do have a YouTube channel, and please do subscribe to it, where you can catch all of these conversations that we have, all of these meetings. You can actually view historical shows that we've had, and we've got quite a few episodes. How many in total do we have now, Sharon? I'm sure we're up there in the, in the higher, closer to 100, if not there already.
Getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. So there's quite a lot of information that you can catch up on, very good health information that you can sort of just go topically and pick whatever's interesting you. And then please remember to subscribe and like our channel and our presentations. It helps us to percolate to the top so that more people can discover some of these good messages. And the channel name is True Temperance International, simply True Temperance International on YouTube.
brilliant.
Great.
Okay. Yes, and yeah, I think we can move along now then. So we've got Dr. Louisa Mogapi from Pretoria, and she's going to be covering living a restorative lifestyle holistically. So guys, save your questions for the end, and then post your chats in the actual chat box, and then at the end we'll maybe have a Q&A. But we'll hand over to you, Doctor. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Brett, and hi, Q.
Hi,
and hello to everybody in South Africa. I don't know how you guys say we have wonderful weather. It's too hot. I am literally just dying with this heat. It is 30. It's 30 degrees today. On Monday, it's going to be 32. Can I just please go back to KZN? Oh, but
Doc,
anyway.
You sound like you're showing off for the people who are having a terrible winter out there.
I will swap with anybody who's in snow. It is hot. I am living under with a fan on and with an aircon on, and just I wish I had a ocean right in my backyard. But we've got lots of sun, lots of vitamin D. But I can't stand
the sea. Can't go and jump in the sea then this evening, can you?
No. But it's good to see everyone. And it's good to be back on TTI. Okay, well, I have been in this year, 2022.
Yes.
Yes, we did a couple
so
of.
I didn't know you moved up to Pretoria, Dr. Louisa. Can you just tell us what you're busy with at the moment?
Yes, we're setting up another lifestyle center. It's taking a moment because we're going completely off grid. So that's it's been quite it's exciting. I'm enjoying the process. So I'm still part of the Kwamkamani team. I'm just up here in Pretoria to start the work, and the team comes up to check on the progress and make sure that I'm not slacking off. But it's been very exciting, and we hope in due time we would be able to have people come by the center. It's going to take a moment, like we said. We want to do it proper, but the sewage, these are things you never think about. It had to be done because it's not linked to the municipality, but that is done. I'm happy. The structure is up. It's looking lovely. So it's a matter of just getting our power and our water.
Are you outside Pretoria? Like on this
it's in a village. It's close enough to people because we don't want to be completely separated, so people can easily access it. It's in a village that I grew up in. So it is a land that belongs to people from my tribe. So it was easier to acquire, and it's you are not dependent on the system. As you know, a lot of the times we get load shedding, and
you're going to be getting the grid, solar panels, inverters,
precisely,
and water, a lot of water tanks.
So that's but the land is big enough that we'll be able to do all of that. So we're really, really excited about the process. And we'll be able to grow our own food, just do proper country living in a place where people can come and see what it is we do and run a lifestyle center. And we want to make it holistic. I think a lot of people know that I love the use of the word holistic. And sorry for the tongue twister. That's what we're talking about today. Restorative and holistic, and you will see elements of why country living is important, but that's not what I'm talking about today. But also, I mean, with what has happened in the past 2 years, you want to know, history tells us that in the Great Depression, the people who survived were those who could grow their own food and they owned their own land, and they were not really tied much to the system. So if we don't learn from the past, we're going to be stuck in places. I don't want to be stuck in a system that tells me what I must do to be able to access food.
And would you be against people coming there just to see what you're doing, that they could say, look at getting ideas for themselves going forward?
Once we're done with it, we're going to have programs on it. Absolutely. So that's so it's going to be an exciting year when it's done, and also an exciting, by next year we'll be able to have people. But I mean, that's a bit far later on in the year, and that's why this is I'm going to be doing fewer presentations because I've got a lot of things to focus on, because there's still people in Pretoria that needs to be attended to. So we have to see how we can attend to them while that is still going on, if people can't come there. But we hope by the latest September that the place can be really up and functioning.
And how far are you from there, Q? Because I said I want to come up and visit Q, and I've never been up to Q. How far are you from Q, more or less?
Well, I'm in Johannesburg,
So Pretoria.
Okay, you're only about an hour.
Yeah, not too far.
Okay, good. Okay, Doc. Yeah, brilliant, man. Very exciting, man. It's great. Good work you're doing. Keep it up.
Bravo.
It's been lots of fun. Thank you, and keep us
all the best with that one, and can't wait to visit it when it's totally off the grid.
Yeah.
I know there's this beautiful deck, and you can just sit there and just watch it as the sun sets. It's just, I like to just go there now and just sit there and just imagine what it's going to be like when it's finished. So yeah, it's been lots of fun. But anyway, to everybody else, sorry. Yes.
Over to you then, Doc. We're gonna disappear, and yeah, the floor is yours.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of TTI True Temperance International. And this season, we're talking about fearfully and wonderfully made, knowing your body. And a lot of people are curious to know what today's topic is about: living a holistic, restorative lifestyle. I got this idea about 2 weeks ago. It wouldn't leave me. I couldn't shake it off. So I decided this is what I would like to share with you. And especially because I think, like I said, for a while, I'll just be a bit off the platform. So I wanted to leave you with something that I felt encompasses a lot of what I have shared previously on TTI, just putting everything together. I was just feeling like I've done a lot of, we've been looking at systems and going into details, and I wanted to bring about a whole bigger picture, just a bit stepping back and looking at the whole instead of bits and pieces like the respiratory system and all of that. So today we're about living abundantly, holistic wellness, holistic, encompassing everything in your life. And it's for several reasons. As I've said, I felt I've been zooming into little details, which can be very exciting, but we must not forget the whole. And often what I see when people then contact me with their health issues, they're so focused on eating a plant-based diet that they have neglected other things like family relations and all of those. And these dynamics are contributing to their not being healthy. And sometimes people misunderstand. They don't learn the principles. I had a patient who was trying to impress me. She'd heard me speak about eating a whole lot of plant food. She went and got all these greens and ate them. She didn't hear me when I told her she should not, because she's got a very weak digestive system. She had a lot of diarrhea, and it just exacerbated the situation. So I felt that she wasn't really understanding holistic wellness, and that's what really I wanted to share with everybody today. A restorative lifestyle holistically, how to live a holistic restorative lifestyle. I will go into a bit of definition. I hope that you can see my slides clearly and that they're moving. Write your questions in the boxes and write them down. It's not a long presentation. It is an overview. I don't think I've put too much details, and I don't think I'll be sharing anything new. I think I'm just kind of bringing everything together. And like I said, let's look at the bigger picture. And as I always say when I do a presentation, look at your own life, okay? Look at your own life and ask yourself, are you living holistically? So that you can, that's how we're gonna find our joy and our happiness, and we're going to hopefully reach where we are going. Okay, holistic restorative lifestyle. What is it? So when we speak about lifestyle, we're talking about how we're living and the values and the principles and the beliefs we reveal every day. There are people that live a plant-based lifestyle on a certain day of the week. That is not going to have a great impact on your life. If 6 days of the week, you're just living anyhow and showing other values and principles, and on a certain day, well, that's because you're at church and everybody else is eating whole foods, and that's what you do, that's not your lifestyle. What you're doing majority of the time, that's what your lifestyle is, okay? So when we speak about lifestyle, we're talking about how we are living on a daily basis, because that reveals to us our values, our principles, and our deep-seated beliefs. There are people that believe that a whole plant plant-based food diet is the correct way to live, but they eat other things. That shows cognitive dissonance. You're not living what you claim to believe, and therefore that actually you don't believe it, you believe something else. Because, so we're looking at lifestyle. First and foremost, what's your lifestyle like, and what is it revealing about your beliefs, your principles, and your values? Secondly, when I speak about holistic, let me not say we, when I define holistic, and you see that it's with a W because I mean the whole, all of you, I'm talking about your personhood, your physical, mental, and spiritual. And TTI, we really focus on these three: physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. Okay. But you're not a person living in isolation. You live with other people. So when we look at your holistic well-being, we have to look at your relationship with other people. And the reason I say this is over the past couple of years working at the center, a lot of the women that we see who come to us with breast cancer, the major contributing, the one common thing that about 90% of them have is the state of their relationships. A lot of them are either going through divorce or separation, or they had a very bad, some kind of intimate relationship. So you see that we actually had a lady who was on a very healthy diet, and she was exercising. She seemed mentally strong. She had faith. She believed in God. But she had this really terrible divorce, and it affected her so badly. Obviously, her physical lifestyle of trying to live healthy had mitigated it, and so her condition wasn't so terrible. But we had to deal with the issues that stemmed from those kind of relationships. So you need to look at yourself, not just your personhood, but relationally. How is your relationship with your family, your children, your spouse, your partner? How's your relationship with your friends, church groups? How's your relationship with the community? How's your relationship with other people in the world that we live in? How are your relationships with your workmates? Those things are going to affect, whether you're healthy or not. And then also looking holistically, we don't live on Mars. We live here on Earth. Our environment is going to affect us. And these are things we don't control. Whether you're living in a polluted place or not. I was excited about some other place. Somebody mentioned a place and I said, oh, it'd be nice to live there. There's an ocean. And they said, oh, no. The rates of cancer in that place are so high because of these contaminants, So environment is also very important. And the reason I'm mentioning some of these things is you could be doing your very best in terms of your lifestyle and the principles of health that we teach you, but you're not realizing that you're living under, towers that are emanating radio frequencies. You're not realizing that where you're living, there isn't enough, there are too many pollutants in the air. You're not realizing that you're not getting enough sunlight. These are things that are outside of your control, but they still contribute to you being healthy or not, okay? So number one issue is lifestyle. Are you doing the things you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis, or are you just living something else and hoping? Number two is holistically. Yes, we're looking at your physical health, but how's your mental health and your spiritual health? How are your relationships and how's your environment? And then thirdly, when I speak of restorative, I've fallen in love with this word, restorative. What we aim to do at TTI is to share with you principles that teach you to be restored to good health, okay? Are we living in harmony or out of harmony with natural laws? When we say we're teaching you principles, the principles we're teaching you are laws of nature. You hear us talk about laws of health. These are not laws that we have written as TTI and say, the law of health is that you should be eating a whole foods, plant-based diet. It is a natural law. What that means is, it is a design law. We are designed to eat that for greater and optimum health. When we live out of harmony with that law, there are consequences that come. It's not punishment. There are natural consequences that come. So these are natural laws. Gravity is a natural law. If you live out of harmony with it and you go jumping off buildings, you're going to hurt yourself. These are natural consequences. There's a law of respiration. Okay, we must breathe out carbon dioxide and breathe in oxygen. If you put a bag over your head and decide that you're going to keep the carbon dioxide to yourself, you're breaking the law of respiration. You're going to suffer the consequences. These are natural laws. We need to know the natural laws, and we need to see if we're living in harmony with them for optimum health or out of harmony with them. So are we learning about natural laws? Here in TTI, we focus on the laws of physical health, but in our spiritual group, we talk about spiritual laws. When I teach, I love to teach. I'm fascinated by human behavior and mental status. So I try to teach the laws that govern the mind. I think I've done programs, you can check on our YouTube channel, on how the brain is wired, and a lot of stuff to do with your mental state. It's important to understand the laws that govern the mind. Are we learning about these laws, and are we moving towards reformation? So changing our lifestyle. If you are eating a lot of junk food and now you're learning that it's important to eat whole foods, are you moving towards reformation? If you're changing and becoming and living that way in harmony with these laws, you're moving towards restoration. But if you're not, if you're breaking these laws, nobody has to come and punish you. You're moving towards deformation and therefore destruction of your own personhood, of your own relations, of the environment. So this is what we're talking about: holistic, restorative lifestyle. How are we living? In harmony with the laws or out of harmony with the laws? Towards restoration or towards destruction? How are we doing? Now, what are some of the barriers to us living a restorative, holistic lifestyle? All right. Back in 2015, before, I had ignorance. Even though I was a medical doctor, I lacked knowledge about these simple laws of health, and I lacked awareness. Literally, I was in darkness regarding the laws that govern my nature. I ate anyhow, I lived anyhow, and but I was upset that I come from a family with diabetes, that one day I was going to have diabetes and there's nothing I could do about it, or high blood pressure. So I was very excited when I moved from a state of ignorance, which is what TTI aims to do, remove ignorance by introducing knowledge and awareness. And when I learned that, oh, how I eat, I mean, I knew, but I didn't understand to what extent. That, okay, when I'm eating these things, these refined things, this is really the impact it has on me. Yes, as a medical doctor, we don't do much in terms of nutrition and lifestyle issues. We do more management of disease. We wait for people to get sick and then we manage them with medication. But I didn't want that. I wanted people to not fall sick, and I wanted not to fall sick. I wanted to have a say in whether I get diabetes or not and high blood pressure or not. I didn't want it to just be something that just happens and I don't know how. So some people who have not been exposed to TTI are in a state of ignorance. They don't know. Once information comes, we can move from a state of ignorance to a state of incompetence, because knowledge and awareness does not automatically make us masters. So you will find that people know, you've heard the 8 laws, but you're like, but I don't know how to implement them in my life. That's why then we would have things like the cooking show that's going to be happening starting tomorrow. Do sign up for that. We do see I see a lot of people, I tell them go on a whole foods plant-based diet. They have no idea what that means. They're like, what am I going to eat if I'm not eating meat? Because their diet currently only consists of a starch and some meaty product. Okay, so then we move people from ignorance into a state of incompetence, and that's why we like to have practical shows that help people to know how to implement these kind of things. But also, there's also an incompetence that comes from limited knowledge. As I mentioned about the patient who went and bought all these greens and ate them, she had limited knowledge, and therefore then she ended up with diarrhea. Okay, limited knowledge and lack of understanding can become very dangerous. So it's important for us to be constantly learning. Okay, then perhaps you watch the cooking shows, you continue watching all the videos on TTI, you accumulate a lot more knowledge, and you start to understand how your body works and how all of these vitamins and minerals interact with your body. Then you may have knowledge and you may have understanding and you may know how to implement these things. But then there comes this struggle. Okay, we're talking about restorative holistic lifestyle, why we struggle. Some people it's out of ignorance, some people it's out of incompetence, some people it's a struggle. They know what it is they're supposed to do, they know how it's supposed to be done, but then there's a physical struggle. So you crave the things you're not supposed to have. Okay, and this determines your success or your failure. So you find that you know, and then but you're always eating wrong, you're always making the wrong choices. There's this you're almost like addicted to all the bad things, even though in here, in your heart, in your head, you know what you're supposed to do. But when it comes to the practice of it, you're just struggling. And some people end up giving up, which is abandonment. Okay, don't do that, please. Continue the struggle. And for some people, there's a mental struggle. And I find this to be a bit more dangerous. So they love whatever they're doing, the lifestyle, the thing that is out of harmony with their body so much. So they love the sugar, love the meat, love the cheese, love the not exercising, they hate water so much. There's a mental struggle with the presented knowledge such that you end up rejecting the truth about. That's almost like rejecting that gravity exists. You will fall to your demise. Don't do that. Okay, so this is the struggle that can happen. It can either be a physical struggle where you're almost like an addict and you're struggling, you're always giving into the wrong things. Or you have a mental struggle and you decide to just have peace of mind. This is cognitive dissonance. You cannot hold two opposing ideas. You cannot believe that water is good for you and not want to be drinking water and be at peace. Okay, so there may come a point where you say, this is all rubbish, and you give up the knowledge and you reject the knowledge of truth. Be careful that you don't do that. Have the struggle all you want, but accept that which you have seen to be truth and continue to struggle with your addictions and your temptations. It's fine. Some days you will eat what you're not supposed to eat. Other days you will do well. Try and make it a lifestyle. Like I said, try not to be failing 7 days a week, 365 days a year, okay? Because then you're not really doing much. And then we ideally want to get to a level of competence. And this is a choice where daily we make a choice to say, okay, though I'm craving this, this is what I'm going to do. Though I want to do this, this is what I'm going to do. When you make a choice every day to live in harmony with the laws of health, you will become competent. It will become easier and easier because you will be getting stronger and stronger, even mentally, okay? But if you abandon truth and if you abandon the struggle and just give into the addiction, you will go on a downward journey of destruction because you're living out of harmony with the laws of design. I hope I'm making sense, really. We've spoken to you about what you ought to do. I'm trying to help you understand why you should do it, because we were designed in a certain way, and when we don't live according to our design, then we lead ourselves to destruction. But when we live according to our design, we can move towards restoration. Harmony needs to be restored in as many aspects of our lives as possible, as I mentioned. Our personhood, a lot of us are focusing on our physical health, but don't neglect harmony in your mental state, harmony in your spiritual state, harmony in your relationships, and harmony in your environment. Okay, as I said, I've seen patients where the laws of health, they do them to the T, but because of relationships, they're still suffering from diseases, including things like cancer, because your emotions are very powerful things and they will affect your physical body. So don't neglect harmony in those other areas of your life. But what we need to also understand, because I found that some people have, I don't want to call anybody's hope unrealistic, But sometimes I think that people don't fully understand the level of disharmony that exists. We are born out of harmony, and we live with ignorance of harmony. I hope I'm making sense. This is what I'm trying to say. We are born with disharmony, and we are born into disharmony. Okay, this is the human condition. It is not our choice. We are born with disharmony. All of us, we are born with disharmony. When we're born, something is not in harmony, one way or the other, and I will go into details. And then we're also born into disharmony. So let's look at that. What kind of disharmonies are there? When I say disharmony, for those who are joining us, I'm talking about our design and the laws that govern us. Either we're living in harmony with them and we're being restored to greater and greater health, or we're living out of harmony with them and we're going towards destruction, okay? But we're born with disharmony and we're born into disharmony. Born with disharmony physically. Some people are born with physical deformities, okay? And physical deformities doesn't mean just deformed limbs. Somebody who's born an albino, all right, that is not the design. You're supposed to have melanin because it's supposed to protect you from the environment and protect you from the sun. Okay, so if you're born without melanin, then the sun, which is supposed to be a great law of health, is going to cause harm. A person like that needs to understand so that they can protect themselves from something that I don't need to be protected from, okay? Some people are born with genetic abnormalities where they cannot. I actually have a relative who's not able to break down fructose, which is a sugar that is found in fruits. So you can't be forcing that person to be eating fruits because they've got a genetic abnormality. Do you understand? So we need to understand these genetic deformities that we're born with. And unfortunately, they are irreversible. You're born with them. We have to find a way of living with these genetic abnormalities. It was not part of the design, but like I said, because we live in an imperfect world. And let me use myself as an example. So if I live out of harmony with the laws of health, right, but I never get sick, and then I have children, they get weaker and weaker, their genes get modified by how I'm living, I could pass on to them a genetic deformity, and then they could now become carriers and pass it on to their children. So we contribute to future generations by how we choose to live, even if we ourselves don't get sick. So we need to remember that. So that's one of the disharmonies that we have. Some of us are born with those disharmonies. Then there's a thing called epigenetics. So I'll use myself once again as an example. I'm in a family where we have a disposition to get diabetes. So if I live a certain lifestyle, if I eat certain kind of foods, and I live a sedentary lifestyle, I don't observe the laws of health, that I could switch on genetics that cause certain diseases, cancers, diabetes, high blood pressure. But if I follow the laws of health, then I don't have to succumb and end up with those kind of things. So that's epigenetics. These are reversible depending on the choices that I make, my behavior, my lifestyle. Okay, so that's great. It's great to be able to have that kind of choice. And then there could be bodily damage that happens. A person could be involved in an accident, that changes their body structure. A person could have, let's say, some people, they didn't know they have their tonsils removed. That's a physical deformity that came once they were born, and that is going to cause disharmony because your tonsils have a function in your body. Now you have to live life and you don't have that, okay? So these are some of the disharmonies. So if you have any of those disharmonies, you need, when you're living a lifestyle of restoration, to take that into account, that some things you cannot fix if they were genetic. You cannot fix unless God himself comes down and does a fixing. We cannot fix that. And then there are things that the choices that you make, there are things they can switch on things and switch off things. So be careful about the choices that you make. And then also be careful about permanently causing damage to the body, removing organs, okay? Understanding that once you have removed an organ and there's bodily damage, then there is a bit of disharmony because each organ is a member of the body and it contributes in a certain way. So I've had patients who their thyroid has been removed. You have to be on medication when your thyroid has been removed because we have to put that into your system because the organ that was responsible for that has been taken out. So really, really think before you do any kind of permanent operations to your body. So that's the personhood disharmony. There are mental disharmonies. We are born with hereditary traits, okay? So your parents have passed on to you certain characteristics and behaviors, yes. So certain ways of thinking, okay? We are born with certain personalities. I've met people that have personality disorders, narcissistic behavior, borderline behavior, antagonism. So our personalities are going to cause disharmony in terms of how we relate with other people. We're going to be finding we're in strife, we're in conflict, we're releasing cortisol, and that is affecting our physical health. We need to know ourselves and our personality and our dispositions. And then there are life events that happens to us in our education and our upbringing that can create mental ideation that is out of keeping. For example, I think I've mentioned before, there was a young man who grew up in a family where he believed that, robbing people was not a problem. So in his mentality, it was just a way of living. And this led him into a situation where there's great disharmony in his life. And there's no way you can be healthy when you're living that kind, because you're living out of harmony with design. We were not meant to live like that. Okay, we were meant to be balanced. We're unbalanced. Our personalities are not right. So these are the things we need to understand about ourselves. There are people with bipolar disorders when I'm talking about personalities. Okay, they struggle mentally with highs and lows. They need to understand that and get the help they need, because otherwise it's going to create problems with how they relate to other people, especially if people don't know that that's why they're acting the way they're acting. That one minute they're up, then the next minute they're down. They're making all these irrational decisions, and then they're depressed about it. What is happening? So it's important to understand the disharmonies that happen, that we're born with and that we're born into. And then spiritual disharmony. There are people who live and they're floating and they don't even regard their spiritual self. There's lack of spiritual development, or there's spiritual confusion. If you can see, everybody's talking spirituality in this day and age, but we're all speaking different things. There's a confusion that is going to influence, especially if what we believe in terms of spirituality is wrong. If we're out of harmony with true spirituality, we're going to find ourselves in disharmony. And as I mentioned, as long as we're in disharmony, we're moving towards destruction. We need to find out what is true spirituality so that we can be in harmony with it, so that we can be moving towards restoration, holistic restoration. That's personhood disharmony that we're born with and that we're born into. And then there's relational disharmony. We know this, family dysfunctions, okay? There's a certain way that a family was supposed to be, how it was supposed to be governed by love, but we live in situations where there's so many dysfunctions and there are relational problems, and that's causing stress on our bodies, and that's why we find that we are not living a holistic, well life, okay? Our upbringing can also cause relational disharmony. And then we can have damaging interactions. There are kids who are abused, who are called names. They're told that they're not intelligent. They don't develop the virtues they're supposed to develop as they're growing up. And that's going to be very damaging to the relationships and also to their own personhood. Okay, so a lot of us, there's a lack of living in harmony with the natural design law. We're supposed to love one another. We're supposed to love one another. That's when we live in a loving environment, we find that we live a happy life. But how many of us grew up in a loving environment and still live in a loving environment? There's so many conflicts happening in our relationships, and this is causing disharmony, and therefore we're finding that we are not restored to good health. Okay, then there's environmental disharmony. We need to understand that we live in an imperfect world and we live imperfect lives. And the reason I'm saying this is some people are like, I live a healthy lifestyle, I follow all the laws of health. How could I end up getting liver disease? But what we don't realize is that there's pesticides and herbicides and pollution in the air and too much air conditioning and radiation and all of these things, because there's environmental disharmony. We're not living in harmony with the earth that we're living on. And we also live in perfect lives. We also contribute to the disharmony that's happening in the environment. And some of these things we cannot do much about. Some we can. If you grow your own food, you know that it's organic, you know what goes in it. But some people cannot do that. So you do the best that you can in the environment that you live in. Okay, and then there's miseducation as well. Like I said, we're born with disharmony and we're born into disharmony. A lot of what we're taught is not harmonious. I mean, how many debates do you hear about a plant-based diet and a meat-based diet? And our education does not teach about a plant-based diet. Our education does not teach about natural remedies. So is it education or is it miseducation? Does it lead to our ignorance? And when we live out ignorantly, we move further into disharmony. So we're born with disharmony and we're born into disharmony. It's a human condition. It is not our choice. But there's something we can do for holistic restorative living. Each one of us, you must know your own unique set of conditions. I need to know my own unique set of conditions. I need to know physically where my weaknesses are, looking at my family history. I need to know mentally where my weaknesses are, spiritually. I need to look at my relationships with my family, my upbringing, events that have happened in my life, and how they're going to affect me. Okay. And I need to look at my environment, and I need to look at my education. And then I need to understand what I can and I cannot change. And then I need to learn correct the right governing laws. And then I need to learn that, okay, I can't do anything about the fact that I was born with these genetic abnormalities, and I was born into this kind of family, and these kind of things happened to me. But I can choose restorative responses. And one of the things that triggered me to say I wanted to do a presentation on this is I have seen people where they've been living a healthy lifestyle, and then they come down they get infected by COVID and it gets really bad. And then they say, I was living a healthy lifestyle, I still had bad COVID. Forget all of this. I'm going to live and eat and do as I please. Now, that is not a restorative response. That is a destructive response. You reject truth because you had a bad event happen to you. Okay. Sometimes circumstances and situations will come upon us that are not our fault and not of our own doing, because we live in an imperfect world. Whatever happens in your physical life, mentally, spiritually, relationally, environmentally, choose a response that leads you in the direction of restoration. I think that is the crux of what I'm saying to you, because if you don't, ultimately, you're choosing the path of destruction for yourself. Forgiveness, when somebody has done you wrong, is a restorative response. It restores you first and foremost, before it does something else to the other person. If somebody wrongs you and you decide that you're going to take vengeance upon yourself and you will not forgive them and you're going to teach them a lesson, that is a destructive response. And then it's going to create more consequences, probably for yourself, for that person, and for other people. So this is what I've been seeing, and that's why I thought, let me do a presentation on holistic restorative living, to do with our personhood, our relationships, and our environment. So whatever happens, choose restorative responses. There are things that are outside of your control. There are things that we didn't choose. There are things that are not your fault. But where we are right now, It is what it is. Where we are is about what are you going to do with the situations and the circumstances and the bag of misdeeds and disharmonies that you have inherited. Are you going to continue with them towards a path of destruction, or are you going to choose to be restored by learning what are the laws of health, the laws of your mental well-being, the laws of spirituality, the laws of relationship, which the greatest law is love, and the laws of being a good steward of the environment and navigating your life through this environment. So although we are born out of harmony, and we are ignorant of harmony when we are born, these are the things that we can do to restore harmony, to be restored, to come into a restorative lifestyle so that we can be healed. Okay, the whole purpose of doing what we're doing is so that we can find healing. Number one, physical health. Live according to the laws of health. There's no point in you knowing them and you don't practice them. Okay, don't come up with excuses. just do them as a lifestyle. The more you do them, the more your brain, like I said, the more you will become competent. Okay, mentally, understand how the brain and the mind works. I have done presentations. Go on to the True Temperance International YouTube page and have a look at that, how the brain is wired. Okay, understand how the brain works and how the mind works, and understand the will. Where a lot of us goes wrong with our mental state is we act out our feelings. Feel your feelings all you want. Be angry all you want. Feel jealous, not be angry. Feel angry, feel jealous, feel whatever you do, but choose a response that is restorative and not destructive. Do you understand? Your feelings are from another center. Your reasoning capacity is still there. And then there is the overriding factor that you can make a choice, regardless of how you feel and how you think. You can feel angry, you can reason, and it can be justifiable why you're angry, and you can still choose to act in a way that is going to bring about restoration to all involved and not bring destruction. So your feelings are important, but don't make them that important. Make a choice. Okay, even when it comes to choosing what to eat, feel the craving all you want and still choose to eat something healthy. Okay, hate water all you want and still choose to drink it. That is what I'm talking about. You're feeling what you're feeling, but you're choosing to live in harmony with your body's design, to say, it doesn't matter. I am out of harmony. How can I hate drinking water? I'm supposed to like it because it is good for me, but I don't, but I will choose to drink it. That is choosing to live in harmony with the laws that govern your being. Your spirituality, live in accordance with a higher calling. I will show a slide that kind of highlights this. Getting into relational harmony. Let the law of love govern all your relations. I thought that was the simplest way to put it. Let the law of love, not the law of revenge, not the law of teaching a person a lesson, not the law of jealousy, let the law of love govern all your relations. And I'm not talking about feeling good kind of love. I'm talking about where love is about patience, it's about kindness, it's about forbearance, it's about humility, it's about truth, it's about liberty, it's about faith. In the past 2 years, love went out the window. When we sought to compel people to do certain things, we wanted people to be vaccinated and their liberties went out the window. That is not the law of love. The law of love does not compel. All right, it allows each person to be fully convicted in their own mind. The law of love doesn't say you must eat this, even though it is right. Okay, you can be watching your spouse and they are eating themselves to the grave and you have told them, but you must honor the law of liberty. They are a free moral being. They have a choice to make. They will have to live with the consequences of living out of harmony with the laws that govern their being. Yes, you're going to be affected because when they get sick, you will have to look after them. And that's where the law of love also kicks in to say, instead of saying, yeah, you deserve it because you live that way, that's going into disharmony with a person who's sick. where you show patience and you show kindness and you show forbearance. That's a higher calling. But I felt I had to present this because a lot of us are sick because we have assumed that as long as we can live in harmony with the laws of health, which is number one, we should be okay. But we can't. There are other laws that we are disregarding. And if we're having strife with another person, it is not well with our soul. Every time we think about that, we release stress hormones, and that's going to affect our immune system. It's going to affect our heart rate. It's going to affect a lot of our physical being. There's only so much broccoli you can eat. Forgive that person, okay? So that you're in harmony. And when anyway, that's a topic for another day. When I talk about forgiveness, I don't mean you have to bring those people in your life, but do not wish them evil. Because now you're putting that into your brain wiring and your mental state. So let the law of love govern all relations so that you can live in harmony with other people. Environmental harmony, live in harmony with nature, okay? Don't contribute to the damage we're causing in the world through pollution. Do your little bit, okay? Yes, the world is going to decay. But do your little bit. We don't need to fast track it. Yes, we're going to die, but we don't fast track it by just eating anyhow. That's why we're trying to learn the laws that govern our body. Let's learn the laws that govern the environment. If you're going to grow your food, understand how not to damage the soil so that you can get good quality crop. And the people that come after you can also get good quality crops, okay? And then education is important, not miseducation. We must continue to learn. We must be spending time learning about the natural design laws and hold on to what is truth. We've learned a lot since, if you've joined TTI, you've been with us from the beginning, you've learned about the laws that govern your health. Wonderful, and you're probably very competent. But you need to now go learn about the laws of the brain and the mind and the power of the will. You need to learn about spiritual laws. You need to learn about relational harmony laws. You need to learn about environmental laws. And you should implement those into your life and continue to be growing. We cannot be stagnant because we're born with disharmony and into disharmony, and it's a lot, and we've been miseducated about a lot of things, and we have to let them go and learn new things so that we can hold on to what is truth. So for our holistic health, because this is why you tuned in, it's important to have a physically healthy structure first and foremost. So that's why as TTI, we focus on that. If your physical structure is healthy, that includes a healthy brain, then there's a chance that you can have a healthy mindset. There's a chance that your spirituality can actually be healthy. There's a chance when you're physically healthy that you can relate healthily with other people because you're not in aches and pains and irritable all the time. And actually, when your frontal lobe, which is where you do a lot of, things like empathy and things like that, that's a function of your frontal lobe. So if your brain is damaged by your lifestyle, it becomes difficult for those connections to happen properly. So our physical health, a physically healthy structure is first and foremost, but we should not neglect to bring into harmony all those other elements of our personhood, our relationships, and our environment. Okay, so attaining this great personhood, let's just move into the personhood. I think when it comes to relational issues, it's easy. Let the law of love govern. Environmental, it's easy. You should know how to live in harmony with the environment. What about our personhood with its different states, the biopsychospiritual, or the physical, mental, and spiritual state? So the body is the biology. It encompasses the structure of the body and how it works. This is what we've been teaching in the season of Fearfully and Wonderfully Made. Know your body. Okay, so that's important. It's important to keep this physical body working well. Psychology is important, okay? These are the intricate workings of our mind. 9/10 of the disease start in our minds, actually. Imagine that, yeah? So be careful about your psychology. Make sure that you understand the laws that govern the mind. Otherwise, you will try to be physically healthy and then your psychology will let you down. This is your conscious mind, your thinking and your reasoning, your beliefs. If you believe incorrect things, you're going to get sick because you're out of harmony with what actually is. Your attitudes, your feelings, your emotions and memories. But remember, the power of will, of making choices, okay? That's also part of your psychology. You can feel whatever you feel, and you can think whatever you think, and you can reason however you reason, but you can still choose. If you know that this is the right choice to make to be in harmony, you can choose that even though you feel otherwise. And then spirituality. I don't want to delve into spirituality because I believe it's a very personal thing. But I think I would just like to give a definition so you can start on your journey of spiritual development if you haven't, but also making sure you've got spiritual clarity and no confusion. The spirit, the meaning, the purpose, and the significance of yourself in relations to yourself, to others, to nature, to the sacred. And this is expressed through your beliefs, your values, your traditions, and your practices. Okay, so literally, it's the meaning and purpose of life. Why are you here? Why are you doing the things you're doing? Why are you bothering to live in harmony if you're just going to die anyway? We're all going the same. From dust we came, to dust we will return. Why bother to learn what are the laws and why live in harmony with them when you can understand the meaning and the purpose and the significance of why you're here and your relationship to yourself and to others, to nature and to the sacred. And this can be seen. Then you're well on your way of your spiritual journey. And that is important. To disregard is to not look at yourself holistically. And you will be in disharmony because you'll only be looking at two elements. And I say this as a medical doctor because a lot of the times when people come to us medical doctors, we look at their biology. We're not really much concerned with their psychological state, except if it is blatantly obvious, and then we would send them to a psychologist. But how many times has anybody looked at your spiritual well-being and realized that that is what is causing your condition? And you may think that I'm exaggerating, but I remember I had a patient who came and she was distressed. Her heart rate was above 100 while she was sitting down. She had palpitations and she was not well. And I checked her and I just could not find biologically what was causing all these physical ailments until I said to her, look, I see how you're doing. You're not well physically, but why? What's wrong with you? What's happened? I've known you. You don't have high blood pressure. You don't have all of these things. What has happened to you to be like this? And she bowed her head, and I'm like, okay, so why are you having such a bad reaction? She says, you don't understand, because back then I wasn't really much of a Christian. I mean, I grew up in the Christian faith, but really, I wasn't much into spiritual things. And she said, I have dishonored myself and dishonored my husband, and I have dishonored God, and I'm just feeling very terrible. I have broken the commandment, and she was feeling terrible about it. And I said, okay, well, then you need to forgive yourself. I don't know what you're going to do with regards to your husband, but with regards to God, doesn't your Bible tell you that if you confess your sins, he's faithful and just to forgive you of your sins? And she said she couldn't pray. So I offered to pray for her. And she slept in my consultation room. And when she woke up, literally her biology had been restored because she felt she had greater peace with God, and she could then forgive herself and she could see how she could move forward. So it's important. She felt she had broken a law. She had broken a trust issue. And even though nobody else knew about it, it was affecting her. It's important for us to realize, that there are things, our beliefs, when we live out of harmony with them, they will cause us to not be holistically well. So these are the three states of our being: our biology, our physical state, our mental state, and our spiritual state. And they must all be holistically well. And I often like to ask, are we living from the spirit or are we living from our body? When you're living from your body, from your flesh, when you crave something, you will take it because your body wants it. You'll be like, I was hungry, so I ate. I didn't see why I had to deny myself. I was craving this, and then I took it. But when you live from your spirit, that's what I was talking about earlier when I said perhaps we should learn to live we should accept a higher calling. When you know the meaning and the purpose of your life and what it is you're trying to achieve, and you know that for you to be able to live out your life fully and achieve the purpose, you need to have a healthy body. When your body craves for something, that you know it as out of harmony, you will then deny yourself. Okay, so it's important. That's why it's important to develop your spiritual well-being and to be clear about the meaning and purpose of your life, so that whatever you feel and think, you can choose how to execute it. And then your body will be used as a vehicle to fulfill what you want to do, not as something that tells you how you ought to live. Your body should not tell you how to live. You should keep it healthy so that you can fulfill your spiritual meaning and purpose here on this earth. But the body is very important, because without it, we would not be able to do any of these things. So growing to a holistic personhood from conception to full stature requires that we observe the laws of health. So a healthy experience demands growth, and growth demands that careful attention be paid to the laws of nature, to live in harmony with them, so that the organs of the body, including the mind, may be kept in a sound state, so that they are not affected, they are not trammeled in their action. That's from the book Temperance, page 11, with True Temperance International. So why do we need to be physically healthy? As I said, to be able to plan and execute our life plans and vision, to live our lives' mission and vision and purpose. And all parts of the physical body are needed to be in optimum functional state, especially the brain, which houses the mind and which also houses our spirituality, and the immune system, which is our defense. And we saw that in the past 2 years, our immune system has been under great attack, and also how we ought to treat it. You need to know if something is going to improve your immune function or it's going to affect it. And if it's in harmony with your immune system, you need to use it. If it's out of harmony with your immune system, you shouldn't use that. That's why educating yourself becomes very important, okay? And you need to have a clear mind to be able to educate yourself. So physical health is defined as harmonious, optimum, and balanced working of all your body systems. That's what we've been learning this season, Fearfully and Wonderfully Made, about all the different body systems. I know I have covered, I think, the circulatory system and the nervous system and the nervous system. I know I covered those three. Dr. Gandhi covered the digestive system, and all the some other systems have also been covered as well. So these must be working together in harmony. This is for your physical health, but I'm also talking to you about your own personhood, holistic personhood. Now, I love this quotation by Edwin Cochran. It says, "Man cannot change a single law of nature, but man can put himself into such relations to natural laws that he can be profited by them." We cannot change the laws that govern our physical body. They are not man-made laws that, they are design laws. That's how we were designed. We cannot change them. But if we know them and we live in harmony with them, we can be benefited by them. That's important for us to understand. There's no punishment if you don't eat your whole foods. There's only consequence. No person, no deity comes down to punish you. There are only consequences because you're out of relations with the natural laws. So we need to make sure that we live in harmony with them. Nobody comes to punish you when you are unloving to another person. There are consequences that happen even to yourself. When you're loving towards another person, you release oxytocin, okay? And that has great healing effects on your body. When you are not loving to another person, you release other chemicals. And remember, when I talk about loving, I don't mean you must feel nice towards them. No, when you show patience and kindness, irregardless of how you feel, you will change your chemistry. You can feel very annoyed by somebody and still choose to show them patience and kindness, and you release oxytocin, and that will change your chemistry, but also that will change the structure of your brain, okay? That will change because your body will realize, okay, what you just did is not in harmony with how you were feeling. So this is what you want us to be doing. And that's how you learn competence. That's how you learn to be more loving, by doing loving acts, even though you feel otherwise. That's putting yourself in relations, in the right relations to natural laws. I hope I'm making sense to you. So we know about the laws that govern the human body. I've coined them restoration. They're the windows through which sickness and disease enter, but they're also the windows through which health is restored. If you live in accordance to restoration, you will find you're on your way to being restored to good health. If you live out of harmony with them, you're on your way to destruction and disease and sickness. Okay, we know them: rest, exercise, sunlight, temperance, oxytocin. That's living in harmony and compassionately with others. That's the law of love that governs our relationships. Rehydration, Sharon, I'm sure you'll be happy to see that I said drink water in accordance with your bodily needs, not 6 to 8 glasses, because some of us need more. Okay, getting fresh air, truth, living in harmony with natural laws and having a true belief system. Imagination, that's very important. It affects our feelings and our state of being. So be careful of what your mind dwells on. Okay, bring every thought and imagination into captivity and decide, this is not right, I discard it, or this I'm going to entertain. What actually happens is, if you're thinking badly about somebody, okay, and you entertain it, and you're just like, I'm not doing any harm, I'm just thinking about it in my mind. Actually, because of that brain activity dwelling on that thought, what you end up doing is there's a chemical, BNDF. It is manure for your brain. Okay, it actually causes that circuit to grow. But if you dismiss the thought, that was going to be pruned and cut down. And this is what psychology talks about. When people are thrown into jail for heinous acts. Let's say a rapist, okay, if they're in jail and their imagination is constantly on rape, in their mind they are feeding that, and when they get an opportunity, when they come out years later, that's what they're going to do. But if while they're in jail they can work with somebody who helps them bring those thoughts into captivity and say no to them and not entertain them, then that part of the brain will get cut out. And then they can start growing other parts of their brain. They can literally rewire their brains. But we don't do that when we throw people in jail. We don't seek to correct their mental state. I don't know why, because we know about this and rewiring of the mind. But you can do that for yourself, okay? Don't allow certain thoughts to manifest and grow, and definitely don't feed them. Just replace them with a positive thought. When you're thinking and loving thoughts towards somebody, change, because otherwise it grows. Okay, so that's how you can bring your imagination into captivity. Outfits and nutrition, these are relating to your physical health. So why practice these things? The laws of nature are just, but they are terrible. Okay, like I said, if the law of gravity is just, but it is terrible if you walk off the roof of whether you walk off a building, okay, you will fall to your demise. The law of respiration, you put a bag over your head, it is a just law, but you will suffocate and you will die, okay? So the laws of nature are just, but they are terrible. There's no weak mercy in them. There is cause and there is consequence, and they are inevitable and they're inseparable. What really hurts me is a lot of people suffer out of ignorance. They don't know the laws of nature and they suffer the terrible consequences of them. Okay, the elements have no forbearance. The fire burns, the water drowns, the air consumes, and the earth buries. That's Henry Longfellow who said that. So we need to understand the law of causality. We need to understand the laws of nature and live in harmony with them, because otherwise we will suffer terrible consequences for not obeying them. Our human bodies are miracles, and they are. And that's why I love studying anatomy and physiology. But they're miracles not because they defy the laws of nature, but because they obey the laws of nature. It has been beautiful for me for the past 7 years to teach people to live in accordance, in harmony with the laws of nature, and see them restored to good health. It has been a miracle for me, and I praise God for that, because I see that he's a true and faithful God, whatever he has said. But even if you don't believe in God, there are laws of nature that are there, and if you observe them holistically, you can be restored to good health. So I want to close with a couple of questions for each one of us today. In terms of your lifestyle, when you look back, we're still early on in 2022. Looking at your lifestyle now in 2022, okay, what does your current lifestyle reveal about your values and your principles and your beliefs? Are you living a lifestyle that is in harmony with natural laws or out of harmony with natural laws? If you're in harmony with natural laws, physically, mentally, spiritually, relationally, environmentally, if you always respond in a restorative manner, there's a greater chance that you will be restored and you will move on from strength to strength in terms of your holistic well-being. But if you're living out of harmony with them, if you're eating anyhow, drinking anyhow, sleeping anytime, not bothering, not exercising your mentality, not capturing thoughts, not being loving towards other people, showing kindness and patience, not developing yourself spiritually and taking your journey, not fixing relationships with other people, and living out of harmony with your environment, you're going more and more into destruction, and not only for yourself, but for all of those that you influence around you, because we don't live in silos, okay? And then, so what is your lifestyle? And holistically, what is it? Are you living in harmony or out of harmony? And lastly, in terms of your education, because there's so much we have learned that is incorrectly, are you daily being educated, consciously or subconsciously, towards a restorative living or towards destructive living? Because when we watch a lot of television and read the news, a lot of things are coming into our minds that we allow in that are not in harmony with the laws of nature. Okay, so you must be educating yourself. You must be consciously deciding what you believe in, what you take in, and what you practice. And do circumstances determine your responses? So when somebody hurts you, do you just go on autopilot and hurt them back? When somebody hates you, do you hate them back? Are we living an eye for an eye kind of thing? You know, when you're upset, you feel entitled that I can go eat a whole bowl of ice cream, you know, or drink a whole bottle of alcohol, or move back into drugs, or do whatever kind of things. Do circumstances determine your responses? Or even in bad situations and circumstances that you could justify, do you choose to respond according to the principles of restoration, so that you can restore yourself, your personhood, you can restore your relations, and you can restore your environment? I would like you to take a screenshot of this, and throughout the course of the week, just have a look and see. And this really is how you live a holistic, restorative lifestyle, taking all the education that we've been giving you from TTI, but not only just focusing on your physical health, but your mental health, your spiritual health, your relational health, and your environmental health. I know that was very different to what we normally present, but to share that with everybody. And I hope you have found it as empowering as I had wanted it to be when I really put it together. Thank you. Q and Brent, I will hand over back to you.
Thank you very much, Doc. We really appreciate the presentation. As we had mentioned earlier, whenever Doc comes on, it's definitely going to be quite brain tease. It's something for you to start thinking and to actually go, I guess, and reflect. Thank you for that presentation. It's an overarching presentation, and I think it puts into perspective what exactly we are trying to accomplish out here and why we're trying to accomplish whatever it is we're trying to accomplish as True Temperance International. Doc, so what is our challenge for the week? Is it to make a reflection on that screenshot that we've just taken and perhaps report on it, or?
I didn't put together a challenge, but that is, and nobody has to really give feedback on that. But I really wanted people to do that, to ask themselves if we're living holistically. Yeah, so if they could have those 3 questions and ask themselves, I find that sometimes we're just living, and then on Saturday we remember that there's True Temperance International, and we log in. but it is not really having that impact to change our lifestyle. But some people it does, but then they're disappointed with their results, Q, because they're only focusing on one element. And as True Temperance International, we've chosen to focus on physical health. Yes, I know we've got the other group, which we're still working on, the spiritual health, but not everybody is interested in that, but I wanted to put it in totality. So if a person wants to take a screenshot of that, go back, watch the presentation, and see if you are living holistically. If you want to a life of abundance, look, the Bible, Christ says, I have come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. And I'm seeing a lot of Christians who are not having an abundance of life. And I think it is because and I'm seeing other people who are not having an abundance of life. And with what I know, I'm able to look at their lives and say, yeah, but that's because you're living out of harmony in that regard. And in that regard, your relationships are really bad and you're holding grudges, and you're thinking that by holding grudges, you are empowered, but you're not. You're only making yourself sicker. So I really wanted people to be empowered to say, stop. No judgment to yourself or others. Just look, am I in harmony or am I out of harmony? And no, if you're out of harmony and you're choosing to hold on to the disharmony because you feel justified, know that the number one person you're hurting is yourself first and foremost. And the number one person you're robbing of well-being and happiness. We cannot be happy unless we're well in those domains. That's the truth of the matter. And that's why we then run and we drink alcohol and we eat badly and we party and we put fake pictures on social media about how happy we are, because we're trying to be happy, but our relationships are bad, our health is bad, our mental state is bad, and we don't know whether we're coming or we're going. And I thought, let me just put together something that I find to be real and true. And if somebody implements it into their life and they do it really holistically, they can, you know what I'm saying, Q, they can get to the point of being well. So yes, I suppose I'm saying that is the challenge if a person really wants well-being. And especially I'm concerned about those members of TTI that write to me and they're saying, and they're doing their best in terms of the living the laws of health, but they find that they're not healthy. Something is going on with their system. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you don't realize that you've got a genetic deformity there, and you don't realize your epigenetics, and you don't realize that you're very anxious, and you don't realize that you're angry with your husband, and you don't realize that you have this expectation of God, and all of these things, even though you're eating your broccoli, it's not going to help because you're out of harmony in all other regards. And I wanted people to be able to have that whole picture so that they can then look at those things as whole, as with as much detail as they do to what it is they put on their plates. You understand?
I hear you, Doc, and I understand. It's a way for us to check the pulse of where our life is holistically, and then to see where we need to course adjust and give it a shot. It sounds like you're saying, listen, give it a shot, but if you give it just a half step, you can't cross a chasm in 2 steps. You really need to go the full distance and say, okay, bodily, how am I doing? Okay, mentally, how am I doing? Okay, spiritually, how am I doing? All of them need to be addressed. And if I only address the one, I might as well have not done anything, because I could adversely affect the others or even make things worse. Who knows? Yeah. Thank you, Doc. I really, really appreciate this lesson, because I think it puts into, it gives us the broader perspective of what it is to have life and to have it abundantly.
Yeah. Thanks, Q. Thanks, Dr. Louisa. What I found very interesting is that whole emotional approach, so where the unforgiveness, holding on to certain things like hatred, grudges, and what have you. And I don't think people realize how that affects their not only spiritual, mental, but their physical health. And there was a series done, I don't know if you know the lady, I think it's Dr. Straden, and it was all about the toxic thorn trees that develop in your brain from holding on to these thoughts and what have you for years, going back years and years and years, and to come to terms with that. And when you finally come to terms and you understand that you need to undo these toxic thorn trees in your actual brain that are developed from all the years of these negative thought patterns or what have you, you're never going to really find that vitality in your life and be able to overcome these illnesses and you know, issues you're having with health. So yeah, I think that was very informative today with regards to, you know, dealing with those negative emotions and so on. Oh.
True. I almost want to encourage everyone to maybe rewatch this before we go through maybe those older programs on YouTube, just to sort of give ourselves perspective, you know. And it's thank you once again, Doc. It really was a blessing. Before I guess we open the floor to more exploration of living a restorative life holistically. Just to mention that next week, our presenter is going to be Dr. Gandhi Madzola, who we've had before on the Family Health Show. And so that's something to look forward to. He is also always a blessing when he comes on board. So let's look forward to a conversation with Dr. Gandhi Madzola next week. But back to this week, Brent, maybe would you like to open the floor to hands and
yes,
comments and questions?
Yes, just looking at the chat, there's not that many questions that were posted on the chat. So maybe we can open the floor now to questions from the from the viewers.
Can you hear me? This is Eugenie.
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
I need to sort of say this rather quickly because somebody's coming to get me to go back to church. But I just want to say thank you to the doctor for the presentation, because as I think my other brother has said, I think we need to have this before we have all the other programs, because then this just put everything into perspective and we can look and see exactly where it is that we really need to start in order to gain that good restorative health. So I just want to thank her so much, because I think this is what we should have from the very beginning, and then everything else fall into place. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do see there is a question in the chat, which is from Ashton, where he asks, how do I start to develop a personal health plan, Doctor?
That's a bit challenging. I would say sometimes okay, as a general address, we often say you can start with the physical, because as I said, your physical health is going to help you have a healthy brain. A healthy brain means that you can have a healthy mind, at least, you know, work towards a healthy mind, healthy spirituality. But sometimes you will find that a person is in a situation, let's say they're in a relationship. I had a patient who was in a very abusive relationship. So she was constantly living in fear, okay? So for her, one of the first things that she needed to do was get to a place of safety and security. Then once the fear could come down, she could then start to look at her physical health, her relationship, and all of that. So it becomes very individualized in starting your health plan. If you feel overwhelmed by the presentation and you don't know where to start, sometimes it is good to just sit down with somebody so that they can help you as you talk. Often people are not aware. When I listen to people talk, I'm thinking, yeah, you're focusing on what you're eating, but you need to fix your relationship.
Yeah, because everyone's different too, Doctor. Everyone's different. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, if generally, if you want to do it on your own, I would say try and start with your physical health. But if you're really not sure, speak to somebody who understands holistic well-being, and then they can guide you in the right direction.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, someone just posted text Luke 2:52, and Jesus grew in wisdom mentally and stature physically, and in favor with God spiritually and man socially.
Amen.
Yeah, thank you for that. Amen.
Great. And then I realized I didn't mention the topic when Dr. Gandhi comes on next week. The topic is the role of vitamin A and potassium and sodium in restorative nutrition. So the topic of vitamin A, sodium, and potassium in nutrition.
That's interesting. You don't really hear about those very often, do you, Q?
No, not often. So I definitely am looking forward to that.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, if there's no other...
I saw a couple of comments there as well. I think I saw in the chat there was a comment from Veronica. Said probably a before and then a repeat after for reflection, growth, and deliberate change. I imagine she's speaking of the watching of this program. We're just rehashing what we visited today. So before and, after, maybe taking some steps to see how growth is happening.
Okay. Good point. Makes sense. Good. Any other questions from the viewers? Floor was yours. Nope. Okay.
Well, I think it's got everyone really reflecting right now. We're probably really stopping, to reflect, because there's quite a bit that came, and it's really all very thought-provoking. It's thought-provoking, but maybe let's just hear, guys, plenty for your thoughts. What's on your mind right now from what we just heard, Dr. Mogapi?
In my mind, this is Audrey. In my mind, first of all, I just want to say thank you for such a thought-provoking presentation to Dr. Mogapi. But the acronym that she put on of the 11 principles of restoration, what I understood is that holistically means if you do all of those 11 principles, is then that you'll feel that you are in harmony and everything is going well. But if you miss even just one of those, then things go wrong. So thank you for that, because I hadn't seen it before anything.
Wow. Yes, Audrey, that's similar to what Doctor mentioned regarding following, say, a vegan or a vegetarian diet. And if you only sticking to it, say, 6 days of the week, then you're defeating the object of going down that path, aren't you? So very similar, isn't it? I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like to. I had a patient in I don't remember which African country. She lived by New Start. She really lived by New Start. She was a health reformer, but she had diabetes, which really made absolutely no sense to me, and it was quite bad and it was not controlled. Until I found out the relationship she had with her husband, which was very stressful, extremely stressful. And she felt that she was stuck. She felt that she could not get a divorce because, as a good Christian, you don't get a divorce. But the situation was really just affecting her mental, emotional well-being, that it was causing her to release a lot of cortisol. And as I've presented before, cortisol will suppress your immune system and it will cause you to end up with diabetes. So you can see how, Audrey, this is exactly what you're saying. There was an element, and we couldn't get her to eat healthier or do anything. What needed to be resolved was that state of that relationship in some way or another. And unfortunately, back then I was a new Christian. I didn't know how I could advise such an elderly woman to deal with that aspect of her life. But I knew it was important. And that's when I started to look at, it's more than just eating healthy and running and drinking water. Those are important. But you need to look at yourself holistically. And anybody who teaches us to disregard even one principle This is what the Bible says, but we don't understand. We're thinking God is being harsh. If we teach people to disregard even one principle, the law of love or the law of forgiveness, we're robbing people of their abundant life and joy. So we need to be able to, as much as we go into the details of restorative health, we need to be able to present it holistically as well. So thanks for sharing that, Audrey.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Audrey, for that comment as well. There's an interesting comment in the chat by Colin, and he says, you know, we usually just ask people, how are you doing? And we end there, or how are you? And we end there. But he says, you know, if you ask them, or if you follow up that question with, how are you feeling mentally? Or even, how are you doing spiritually? And you're prepared to listen, the answer is usually very interesting. And I can imagine how interesting that can get, because that then goes beyond just the commonplace sobriquet of hello, how are you, to actual concern for what their state of mind is.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes that's like opening a can of worms. Yeah, Colin. Because when you ask them how people are doing spiritually, just the other day, I went to receive service, personal service. I was supposed to be serviced, and this woman just, I don't know what it is. I think she heard my name. My name Kamoto means comfort. She just opened up her heart and just told me the harrowing life she's living with her husband. That's why relations, and this was actually just yesterday, you know, the dynamics between her relationship with her husband, the children she brought, that she got out of wedlock, they belong to somebody else, and how it is just really affecting her state of mind and her state of health and her ability to perform her job. That when I came and she saw my name, she just felt that she needed to offload. I don't even think I asked her how she was doing, you know, but she just said, "What's your name?" I said, "Homos," and she said, "Oh." And then she just poured out her soul. And then she apologized afterwards. And I said, there's no need to apologize. Clearly something about me told you that you could, and it will be well. And I wanted to have more time with her, but it was in a service environment. I needed to be able to move on. And all I could do was say a little prayer for her. So Colin, you're absolutely right. We have no idea the people that we're seeing, that we say, how are you? And people say, I'm fine. That means absolutely nothing. People are heavy laden and they don't know how to deal with it. And we're privileged here on TTI. As members of TTI, we know so much, and that's why we love to bring you this information so that you can do something about it for yourself, but it must not remain with you. Then you must share with other people so that perhaps they can find a level of restoration. I'm hoping that lady can find the help that she needs. I don't know how to help her, you know, so, but I know that she can be helped, because at least she has spoken out. Yeah.
Doc, I think the two things you did there, give her a listening ear and a short prayer, those were a good start to her being helped. I'm sure they made a world of difference to her, somewhere to offload and just to know someone cares enough to present her case.
I hope so.
Brilliant. So if we have no other questions, Doctor, you know, that was very, very informative, and you know, everyone gained a lot of value from your presentation today. So thank you for coming on, and best of luck. We will keep you in prayer there as you advance on your plans to go off the grid and set up that center. So, you know, we need to come and visit you when it's done. Please let us know.
Yes, absolutely. I will. And goodbye, everyone.
Awesome.
Good. So should we then start wrapping up, Q? I know we've got the challenge for next week. We've gone over the promos. Is it anything else from your side, Q?
Not much else. Just I know we had the promos at the beginning that we can just revisit and see those. Maybe we can just revisit those few slides that we had so that we can remind people.
I can bring those up if anyone would like to take a screenshot. Then I can share my screen quickly. Can you see that?
Yes.
Go. Just get that bigger. There we go. So there's the different groups.
Right. So, beg your pardon. Please have a look at the different groups that we have that you can join on Telegram. This is where we expand the conversation, because here we only have a limited amount of time. We can only say so much and can only get so much feedback, but maybe you need a moment to digest what we heard today, or maybe there's a question you have about something we've discussed before. The places to engage are the Telegram groups. We have the spiritual health, we have the men's wellness group, and we have the women's wellness group. Of course, we've separated them because we know that they definitely are going to be different considerations for the men and for the women. So please take a screenshot of this. I think this is a very important slide for us to take a screenshot of, and then join the respective group if we haven't joined yet. For those who've joined, let's keep on engaging on the groups. It's a treasure trove out there.
Cool. Cool. Mute me quickly.
All right, and then for those who want to bring a little extra value to their nutrition and bring that taste, and not just the taste, but also to create foods that are going to positively impact our mood. Plant Easy, which is a ministry run by one of our own members here, Janine Higgins. Plant Easy is running cooking sessions for the next 3 weeks, starting tomorrow. So it's not yet too late to sign up. And if you take all 3 sessions, you get a £15 discount. Now, I think everybody here will agree with me that, you know, we could use a bit of savings. So I suggest taking up all 3 lessons and making sure that you benefit the most that you can. We're going to be learning about breakfast tomorrow, then quick lunches the next Sunday, then dinner recipes on the final Sunday. And we'll also include information on how to enhance the production of important neurotransmitters. I heard Doc mention 1 or 2 of them in her conversation. So if we want to learn how we can do that through our diet, let's join Janine in Plant Easy's virtual cooking sessions.
Yes,
the
yes,
contacts are there on screen.
Good point there, Q. With it being linked to that whole mind affecting body. So yeah, there we go. Mood food helps fight depression and anxiety. So that's exactly on the money there with Janine's information she gives. Perfect. Next one.
And then, oh yes, Mercy's Door Health Ministries are going to be holding a supported 12-day detox program. So now we can contact Sister Louise Reed on the details that you have on screen. I suggest we take a screen grab as well of that. With this, this is going to be something that you can do at home. It's really convenient because you can do this at home, and then you're supported on digital platforms. So if you have any questions, perhaps you just need a bit of encouragement, you just need a bit of engagement as you go through the detox, you can contact any of the involved. You've got Dr. Louisa, who we've just been listening to. She's going to be part of the support crew. That's Dr. Louisa Mogapi. We've got Sonia Barnes, who's a nutritionist. She's also going to be, she's part of this team that's bringing us this detox program. Then Louise Reed herself, and then Joan Cornwall, who's a herbalist, and Louise is a health evangelist at Mercy's Door Health Ministry, while Joan Cornwall is a medical missionary. So this is something that I think we can all take up, given that it's online, so we can do this from anywhere across the world and just know that we've got support online. The cost is £130, but I think £130 is worth it if we're going to get a colon, gallbladder, and liver flush.
Definitely. Go organic if possible.
Oh, yes. Righto, and let us also remember the liberty of conscience and health talk that we're going to be having with Dr. and Pastor Conrad Vine and Dr. and Pastor Sam Davies. I think it's safe to say we are all experiencing quite an unprecedented assault on our liberties, particularly of conscience and of the health itself. And I think we do need to have these conversations because we don't really understand what's going on around us. But if we can have informed views, perhaps we can get a circumspect view of what's taking place and what steps we should take to mitigate against the effect that this can have on us. So I invite you all to also join this. There will be a lot of prayer and praise reports, and we'll speak of liberty of conscience and how it is our greatest responsibility, as well as an update on the legal response to some actions that government had taken. So please do join this conversation. It's going to be at 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. Eastern time in the US. We can calculate our times from there, but it's 4 to 6 p.m. GMT. So that's 4 to 6 p.m. Greenwich Meridian time. Let us all try and take a moment to attend this, because I think this is affecting every single one of us.
Brilliant.
And then we've got a residential program over at Manor House. Now, Manor House is one of the supportive and partner ministries with True Temperance International. And so they have a 10-day residential program. That's from March the 6th to March the 16th. If you are able to attend this one, you are invited. You will always benefit from a residential at Manor House. So you certainly would do well to go there. Even if you've been there before, this is something that there's always something new to learn at Manor House. So you're invited. The details are on screen. Please take a screen grab and make sure to restore health.
Because they'll need to book to reserve, we see at the bottom there, AQ. So they must
oh yes,
call in and book and reserve a place. Yeah.
Yes, certainly. It says book to reserve. And also I think I saw a £200 discount there if you're sharing a room. So I think that's something to also consider. So you might want to go there with a friend, or you might want to take the screen grab and share it with somebody who you think would be interested, and make your way to Manor House.
Okay, next.
Great. We've got our pure organic olive oil from the Unocenta farm in Spain. It's available purchase in the UK only for now. Of course, it's going to be, I'm sure, available globally at some point, but for now it's available in the UK. So if you're interested in some good, organically grown olive oil from organically grown trees, then certainly contact True Temperance International on the email that's on screen. That's ttinternational777@gmail.com. and get yourself some healthy olive oil. As I'd heard earlier, Brent, you said that the last time it was mentioned, there were a few quantities, but I'm sure we'll always get to replenish stock. So don't be discouraged. Just place your order and let's enjoy that health.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much for all your support. As you know, True Temperance International is a not-for-profit ministry, and so we do rely on the goodwill of those who are participants. So if you feel that you've been blessed, or you feel that this message can go further out there and you'd like to help that cause, you feel that this is valuable, which I do believe most people here do feel, then please take this particular screen grab, get our account details, and any donation is welcome. No donation is too small or too big. Any donation is welcome to keep the work moving.
Sure. Excellent. Well, thank you, Q. Thanks for going over those promos diligently. So if there's anything else, thanks to our YouTube viewers for coming on today, and all our Zoom viewers. Good luck with the challenge next week, and yeah, everyone have a good evening. Further, if there's nothing else, we can conclude. It's been a good show, really informative.
True indeed. We're going to say goodbye to our YouTube viewers for now, and then we're going to wind up. If you'd like to